Hey Team Glow, I am Roy. I'm going to be the host of this episode, which is episode 5 of our podcast series. I am one of the coaches in the group. I also own a nutrition hub called the Pink Spot. Pink stands for Purpose, Influence, Nutrition, and Knowledge. It is located in North Little Rock on MacArthur. So quick little pub right there. If y'all are in the area, come visit. I have a special guest today, Aletra. She is one of my clients, and she's going to introduce herself really quickly before we get started.
Hello, my name is Aletra Reason, and I am a mental health therapist. I own my own private practice. It's called A Reason Therapeutic Services. I'm in Broadway, on Broadway in North Little Rock. You can reach me at www.reasontherapy.org.
And she has a t-shirt line.
Oh, I do have a t-shirt line. It's called Airy Clothing, God and Therapy. Both are very important.
Yes. Okay, so today we're going to talk about using your angels. So we as women, more times than not, struggle with being able to accept the help that is given to us. So in this journey, in this glow up, in this transformation that we're going through for this 8 weeks, we're mainly focusing on getting our bodies right, getting our skin right, getting back to what we consider beautiful. Part of that is mental as well. So I wanted to bring Aletra in today to talk about how we as moms and wives and girlfriends and teachers and doctors and whatever else you got going, entrepreneurs, whatever, we put everything on our plate and we just try to juggle everything on our own, even though people may come into our lives that are there to lend a helping hand, but we hold on to everything instead of like delegating.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some ways that you think, or what are some signs that we can recognize that we're starting to do that as women?
Being very stressed and overwhelmed a lot of the times, having a really short fuse, especially with your kids and things like that, over the smallest of things,
Yeah.
that kind of tells you that you've been holding a whole lot. And you kind of need to release some of that stuff and give some people back their stuff that you've been holding. So that's one of the main ways that you notice or you come to realize that something's going on. You're holding too much stuff. Life is getting too heavy for you. So yeah.
Okay.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. Well, I could definitely relate to that. I have 3 kids, y'all, 3 kids, and a little fur baby, Nova, who is 12 weeks now, 11 or 12 weeks. And then my kids are 12 and 11. And I know with me owning my own, well, really 2 businesses, trying to start my nonprofit, trying to get them back and forth to where they're going to, like, it's been plenty of times where they may ask me for a sandwich and I'm like, you can make it yourself, whatever. And
Absolutely.
it is hard sometimes to be like, okay, let me sit back and reset, So in those moments when that happens, what are some things we can do to help release some of that besides letting some people deal with their own stuff?
A lot of the times we oftentimes we need a break. We just need a break. We need a moment to ourselves. Granted, I'm a mom of 7.
Whew. I don't know how she do it.
Pray
y'all.
for me. And so a lot of the times it's just too much. And sometimes we need a break. We have to think about ourselves. Sometimes we have to take time for ourselves. When we're working moms, we're entrepreneurs, we're trying to get out here and, make this money, do the things we got to do to support our kids, we oftentimes forget about ourselves. And when we forget about ourselves, we continue to pile things on without releasing those things. So a lot of the times we need a break. We need some time to ourselves, whether that means we wake up an hour early in the morning, we put the kids to bed on time. We have to create boundaries with ourselves and others. I think that's the biggest thing that we are missing as women, because a lot of times when we're growing up, we are taught that suck it up, you're supposed to take it, you can handle it, don't let nobody see you cry, don't let nobody see you sweat. And then that puts us in a place to where we're just holding all of these things, right? And then we don't learn how to set those boundaries. And like, for example, setting a boundary with your kids is something as simple as we have a routine, we have a bedtime. Like, I have time to unwind, you have time to
Yeah.
unwind. We do things in the daytime that we know that we're doing this every day.
Yeah.
Um, and then for just others around you, creating those boundaries. Boundaries, number one, a lot of us don't know how to create those boundaries. We don't know how to create boundaries with people. We ain't taught that kind of
Especially
stuff.
people we love. It's
It
hard.
is hard to create boundaries with people you
It's so
love.
hard.
You feel bad. You don't want to seem
Mm-hmm.
mean. You don't want to seem like you're ungrateful
Or selfish.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But boundaries does several things. Boundaries let people know what we need.
Mm-hmm.
They let people know what we expect out of them and how we want to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how hard it is, we still have to create those boundaries and have those conversations.
Yeah. So that's the key, conversations. I remember, I honestly don't remember who told me this, y'all, but it was right after my divorce. That's another thing, y'all. Will you follow me and learn my story? I'm
Same here.
divorced.
Same here.
And right after that, I remember this lady. I don't know. Again, I don't know how. I don't even remember who this lady was, but I just remember her telling me, "You can't pour from an empty cup." And she was like, "You can have somebody right here with a cup, and you got your own cup, and all you got is halfway full. You pour everything in, into their cup, and it's still only halfway for them, but now your cup is empty, and they
Mm-hmm.
still not full. And they look at you like, I still need you to pour, 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 but nobody's refilling your cup." And when she explained it to me that way, I was like, dang, that really do kind of make sense, because how am I going to be a good mom? How am I going to be a good friend, a good
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend, spouse, whoever? And I'm not happy. I'm crying in the shower because sensory overload when we come into the house. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a really good point. Having those conversations, I think, is really hard, but definitely necessary. So in that situation, like, how would you say, like, approaching those conversations, especially with kids? Because I know a lot of us, it's harder to set those boundaries with our kids than it is
Mm-hmm.
an adult.
One thing that you can do is prepare for the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, as women, we our emotions are so connected to us as a whole that when we try to have those conversations, we get lost in the emotions. We go
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. But if you
That's
can
me.
prep yourself and prepare for those conversations, you'll know kind of where you want the conversation to go versus being led by your
Mm-hmm.
emotions. And so with kids, kids understand way more than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
And having that simple conversation of today, this is what we're doing. Prepping them, prep yourself first to know this is what I want to communicate to my
Mm-hmm.
kids. And then saying, hey, today, this is what we're doing. When we get home, we're going to do this,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And then you can also have them do a teach back to where they tell you, what did I just say?
Mm.
What did we just discuss? So that when you get home, you don't have that sensory overload because we've discussed it. Hey, what I say? Repeat it back to me. Tell me
Right.
what we say when we was in the car. What I say? Are you doing that? You not? Okay, let's try to do what we talked about in the car.
Right.
Instead of having that sensory overload. And then having conversations with others that you love, such as parents or husbands, boyfriends, whatever. Prepping yourself is also important.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important because you want to be able to communicate effectively and not be emotion led in your communication.
Yeah.
So if that means you writing it down to prep yourself, baby, write it down
I
and
was
prep
just about to
yourself.
say, for me, I am all or nothing. I'm either nonchalant and don't care,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm like super sensitive and crying and can't get my words out. There's no in between with me. So when I am emotional, I do have to write it out. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times for me, I will write a letter, especially if it's an adult. I will write a letter of everything that I want to say and be like, hey, read this. And then when you get done reading this, like, then we could talk about it, because I need to be able to say everything that I need to say without an interruption, without a judgment. Like, I just want
Mm-hmm.
you to hear it real and raw, And even with kids, I think a lot of times as parents, we try to protect them
Mm-hmm.
from seeing that we're stressed or that we're worried about something. And now, this is my personal opinion, y'all, but I think sometimes that does more damage than good. I know
Mm-hmm.
with my kids, I'm very, very open. I will tell them, hey, mommy is stressed today. And this is why I'm stressed. I had this and this and this happen throughout my day, so I need a minute. And when I was starting to communicate to them like that, it became so much easier. And now
Mm-hmm.
they know the cues.
Mm-hmm.
Now they'll see, they be like,
Absolutely.
okay, so you not cooking today, you ordering pizza, so you tired. We gonna
Mm-hmm.
we gonna let you rest. Um, and I think sometimes as parents, like we really do try to shield our kids from what real life is, and then that is
Yeah.
another way that we're adding more onto our plate that we don't have to. Like our kids are gonna be okay if I can't color with you one day. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's not the end of the world. Um, so that is something I did want to touch on. I know as women, I want us during this challenge, I really want us to not only glow up like in the physical area, I want us that mentality to really be strong. Um, so when it comes to people coming into your life
Mm-hmm.
and willing to, help you,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still looking at you like, I don't know if I can trust you with this. Like I
Mm-hmm.
got all these are my little valuable possessions right here, and I don't necessarily want you to hold it,
Uh-huh.
but I just want you to stick around right here. I don't think it's fair to the person, but I think sometimes we miss out on a lot of blessings when we do that. So what is a way that like you can recognize that people are genuine
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to really help you, and what are some ways that we can, even if you can't release all of the power or the control, like what are some steps we can take to start doing it?
I think first it's important to identify what trust is to you. Who do you trust in your life currently,
Mm,
right? What qualities does that person have or hold? What qualities have you seen from that person? That's what you identify trust as.
okay.
And then you have this new person coming in. Does this new person exhibit these qualities?
Okay.
Have I given them time to show me these qualities? Have I asked the right questions that'll tell me whether or not they have these qualities?
Mm,
So you have to identify what you really believe is trust. And it's very hard to be vulnerable with new people, especially if vulnerability is not something that you do regularly. And for a lot of Black women, that ain't what we do, baby. We not
no.
vulnerable. We not taught to be vulnerable. But we have to figure out what trust is to us, what that looks like to us. And then we can give little by little, we can give those things,
Mm-hmm.
give small things. Don't try to give it all to them at once. Like, that's going
That's
to
true.
overwhelm you. That's going to be an overload. I can't give you all of my stuff at one time. I give you a
Right.
little bit. Little bit by little bit, you build trust and you become more vulnerable with the person that's willing to help.
Okay.
Um, so identifying your trust and little by little giving these vulnerable things to that person and see if they still exhibit the trust that you need and you know
Okay.
to be true.
Okay. That's a good tip. I think I really lost my train of thought. I had a whole question. Oh, okay. So with setting boundaries, it is
Mm-hmm.
inevitable that somebody's feelings are gonna get hurt, right? And
Absolutely.
I do want to touch on that. I have had a similar situation recently with a friend of mine. With me opening up my hub, and then I have my salon still, and I'm trying to get my nonprofit, and my kids are
Mm-hmm.
doing all the things, and you know I got a little guy friend, so
Mm-hmm.
all that. My time is very limited,
Mm-hmm.
and I started to notice that um, some friends couldn't respect that boundary, that I'm saying like, hey, I'm tired, like I love you, I don't love you any less, but like in this season I just kind of need you to just like ride it out. You know what I'm saying? And our friendship it ended because to that person it was like I'm not pouring into the friendship. I'm not watering the friendship or whatever. And I do want everybody to kind of be mindful of that. That sometimes that's some of the weight that you have to let go, and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like you can love somebody to death, and they're just not meant to be in your life.
Mm-hmm. They're only there for a season.
They're only there for a season, and it's okay. And I think we kind of hold on to that. We're like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, so yeah, I'm gonna do this. Like, yeah, I'm the queen of not returning the text. I am, and she laughing because she know I'm the queen of not returning a text. If it's urgent, you can call me. But if you're texting me in my head, that's not something that is time pressing. Like I can look at the text message when I look at it. When I get home, phone is off. Like that's my time to unwind and decompress. So in this season, like with that, I want everybody to kind of be mindful that you're gonna hurt some feelings, and it's not the end of the world. And if they are truly supposed to be in your life and they truly see the value in you as a person, that won't be an issue. Because as you glow up, some people just not gonna be on the same level at that moment. Right. Not saying they won't get there with you, but in that moment, some people just won't mentally be where you are, right? So I guess what are some signs that we can kind of look out for, like when you're dealing with friends or with family, and you're like, is it me? Am I being overly sensitive, or is this really a situation where I kind of need to step away? And in that, like, how do you step away in a healthy way?
I think being clear is important. And like I said, rehearsing what it is you want to say and wrapping your mind around when you set boundaries, somebody's feelings might get hurt. It is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like you are effectively communicating, you are creating your boundaries. And if somebody's feelings is hurt, that may not be your intention, but they may still be hurt. And that is absolutely okay. Mm-hmm. That's okay. But I think it's just important to be clear. Be clear. Don't beat around the bush. Don't pussyfoot, as they call it. Like you have to be clear with what it is you are looking for, where it is you want that friendship to go, how you want someone to communicate with you or respond to you. You have to be clear. Ain't nothing better than an understanding.
Listen, that's a word.
Ain't nothing better than an understanding. It's raised by my grandma. She don't nothing beat an understanding. And sometimes you lose friendships, and sometimes they, come back.
Yeah.
And that part is okay. Mm-hmm. If this is a friendship that you are wanting to mend, you got to do your part, and they got to do their part.
Yeah.
Like both of y'all got to be working. This ain't no one-way street.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, if they're, important enough to you and they're supposed to be in your life, then things will work out for the best.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Well, that is. I really don't know how long we've been talking, y'all. I feel like we've been talking for a minute. Just being real. We're running this live, y'all. So it is, kind of what it is. Do you have any advice for, like, I guess as we're going through this challenge, like any way you can kind of challenge yourself to kind of do those things and step out on it?
Okay. Well, in utilizing your angels, it's gonna take mental fortitude to do that, especially if you're not in a place where you've been vulnerable before. And if people say that they want to help, call them on it. Call them on it.
I think that's my problem. Like, I have a lot of people that's like, if you ever need me, I'm here. But for me, you only have one time to not be there. And then for me personally, I'm like, I can't trust you. Because in the moment that I needed you, it's like and that may not be fair to them, because like maybe I called and asked when they had something to do. But in my head, I'm like, I needed you then. So that's my struggle. Like, I won't, you got one time and that's all I can give you. And then I'll just sit there and try to figure it out. So I think I just kind of cut you off, but keep going.
Okay. Also remember, you got to give people grace sometimes. You got to give people grace. You got to call them on it, but you also got to give them grace, because like you said, in that moment, they may not have been available.
Yeah.
But it is also on them to communicate that part. I can't help right now, but maybe in the future, I could assist with ABC.
Yeah.
Right? In your clear communication, the more you communicate clearly with people, the more they'll communicate clearly with you because they'll learn from the way you're communicating. Right? They'll learn from the boundaries that you're setting and how you're effectively telling them what you need. And they'll learn to communicate back with you. That way. But call them on and give them a little grace. You X everybody out as soon as they say no.
I'm working on it. It's part of the process. So it's almost like you have to set boundaries with other people, but you also have to set boundaries with yourself.
Absolutely.
As well. And I don't think, like we kind of talked about, I think you may have mentioned it at the beginning, but we didn't really kind of go into detail because I don't think I've ever thought about like setting boundaries for myself. Like I'm good with setting boundaries for other people, especially y'all. So this is one of my hair clients as well. So I get free therapy sessions when when she's in my chair. So at the beginning, her and another one of my clients were like, "No, Yanni, you need to tell them X, Y, and Z." So setting boundaries with other people, I think I've gotten that, and I'm okay with that. But setting boundaries with myself, I don't think I've ever really like thought to do that for real. So what are some boundaries that maybe you set for yourself, or boundaries that if we're struggling with overload, like what are some boundaries that we can set personally?
So when dealing with yourself, you have to take care of yourself just like you do everybody else. So setting boundaries may be something like, I'm not going to work past a certain time, or on this day I'm going to do ABC, or I'm not going to do this before a certain time. But you also have to give yourself grace because everything don't go perfectly.
Right.
But so a boundary for me that I set is I don't work before 11. Just listen,
it is what it is.
I got 7 kids. I need a break. I need to drop y'all off. I need to breathe. I need to drink. Not working before 11 or having Mondays and Fridays be my no client day, but I still may have 1 or 2 clients, but it's not like the rest of the days where I have 5 and 6 clients.
Right.
In the evening time, making sure my kids go to bed on time, baby, that's a boundary for me.
Yeah.
That's a boundary for me. Like, listen, I got to decompress, and you can't decompress if you holding everything and you trying to mom and parent and do all the things all at the same time.
Yeah.
Where is time for you?
Okay.
Where is time for you? You got to find some time for you in there. And that's one of the boundaries I've set for myself. My kids go to bed on time. Yeah. It don't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday. They go to bed on time.
Bedtime every day.
Listen, every day. That's a boundary that you help create for yourself.
Yeah.
So that you don't be so overwhelmed, so that you don't have all of the stuff coming in, all of the stimuli and stuff coming in. Think about places that you would like to grow and glow. And when you find those places, try to create something within yourself that is like a hard stop for you.
Okay.
Like the bedtime boundary. Kids staying up past 8, it's a hard stop for me. I can't let you stay up past 8 o'clock. I have small kids. I can't let you stay up past 8 o'clock. That's a hard stop for me. That's a boundary. Not working on a Friday past 6 o'clock. That's a hard stop for me. That's a boundary that I have to create with myself, and I have to hold myself accountable. You've got to hold yourself. If you're going to create a boundary, hold yourself accountable.
Okay.
Don't beat yourself up too much, but you still got to hold yourself accountable. And you have to figure out what accountability looks like for you.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? I can't tell, people what that looks like for them, but you have to find a way to figure out what accountability looks like for you, and create that boundary for yourself. If you know you got a friend that's an emotional dumper, like, I don't need to talk to you on Thursday, so this is my emotion dumping day that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
That's creating a boundary for yourself. I'm not gonna let you dump on me this day. You can dump on me every other day,
but
not
this day Thursday.
Is my day.
Okay.
This is my day, and I ain't taking no dumping. That's a boundary for you.
Okay.
You have to find ways to put stuff in there. And self-care is also important. People think that self-care is, I'm going to take a whole day and I'm going to go do that. That ain't self-care, baby.
Listen.
Having some time to yourself is self-care.
I was just about to say, when I think of it, like at first, I used to be like self-care was getting my nails done. But if we just being real and honest, getting your nails done is not fun. It
No.
is not relaxing. You are in a room full of 50 people and everybody
Smelling
moving
the.
around, you're smelling the fumes,
Mm-hmm.
getting your hair done, it's not relaxing. Like those are tasks. And I had to realize that, okay, taking care of my appearance is not necessarily, that's literally a chore for me. So what are some things that I personally want to do that it's just like it's just mine and
Mm-hmm.
nobody else's. So for me personally, reading. Like if I can sit down and it's silent and I can read two chapters of a book and get lost in whatever fantasy that I'm reading, like
Mm-hmm.
that's, and I could be refreshed for the whole day. I'm talking about I'm moving and grooving like I don't have a care in the world. But it took me a long time to realize that. So I think a piece of advice to some of the ladies out here is like really figure out what exactly, like you said, that means to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
those boundaries for yourself and what self care means to you. What are some ways you can incorporate that into your daily life? So for me, I have to, my kids, we don't get home to 9 o'clock sometime that night. And we still got homework and baths and all
Mm-hmm.
that. So it had got to a point where I had to tell my kids, if y'all don't tell me that y'all need help with homework as soon as I pick you up, I'm not helping with homework, like, because I have to
That's a
mentally prepare for
boundary for
that.
you.
And we're not going to be up to 12 o'clock at night working on homework. And it also teaches your kids, I think, how
Mm-hmm.
to really set those boundaries and how to be accountable. And it has made me feel a lot less stressed. Like those nights of crying because I'm like, Lord, I know you gave me 3 kids, but can I really handle 3 kids? Can I handle this business? And I think that's a thing that kind of pushes a little bit more, like you start to question whether or not you're doing things the right way or if you're supposed to be in this moment. Am I supposed to really be doing this because it's so hard, but we're
Mm-hmm.
making it hard?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of that we don't have to deal with. Yeah.
In those boundaries, that's important. I think that's what everybody needs to learn how to create boundaries. And once you start setting them, honey, you setting boundaries with everybody.
Listen, it's in business. It is not hard for me to do that. In business, I listen. And if any of my clients are watching, y'all know. I am, girl. Don't call me to book an appointment. It's a website. Like I'm.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and I will accredit that to you and Mackenzie though, because at the beginning when y'all first met me, I was running like a chicken with their head cut off, like going crazy. But with clients and with when it's not personal,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy.
It
I'm like,
is.
girl, no, like I don't work on the weekends. If you want me to work on the weekends, you have to pay a little bit more. You're gonna have to make it worth me working. But on a personal level, especially if I get attached to people and I'm, like I said, I'm all or nothing, but I'm very sympathetic. And if I got a little sweet spot for you, I'll be sitting here like, dang, do I really want to, like, tell them no or whatever? But you have to, and it's okay. And like we were saying, people that are for you are really gonna be for you
Mm-hmm.
regardless, and they'll understand. Like, hey, it's just a season where she on her hustle, she on her grind, she trying to get her
Mm-hmm.
mental right, she trying to get her body right. We trying to do a lot. This 8 week transformation is really the beginning. Is because it's not gonna stop once we finish.
Right.
We'll restart another one, and we want to turn this into a lifestyle for everybody. So this is really something that people got to get used to. And I think we may struggle with that sometimes. Like this isn't a momentary thing. Like change is hard,
It's
no
very
matter how
hard.
good it is. And I don't know. Like I just think sometimes you got to be okay with letting people make their own decisions on whether or not they want to be around and support
Yeah.
you in this journey, and not really care is not the right word, but that's
Be a little unbothered.
there we go. Yeah, be unbothered. Unbothered. Yeah.
Yeah. Creating those boundaries is what you got to do, and having people in your corner that's for you.
Mhm.
That is also important. Um, Utilizing those people, like you said, utilizing your angels. You got to utilize them. Stop making excuses for why
Yeah.
you're not utilizing them. Call them on it.
Yeah.
Call them on it. Call them on it every time. You say you gonna help. I need your help. What you gonna do?
You said you want to watch these kids. Watch these kids.
Absolutely. I need you to watch these kids. If they need you to plan ahead of time, plan ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Call them on it. Request. Use these people. There is no reason for you to be burned out when you got people in your corner mm-hmm. that's willing to help you.
And let's kind of play devil's advocate a little bit with that. If you are saying you want to be somebody angel, mm-hmm. if you volunteering like, hey girl, you ever need something, let me know. If you don't really mean that, don't volunteer that information, because I think that's a lot of times, at least on my mm-hmm. end, why I may have somebody who's genuine, but I'm so used to people just telling me, oh, if you need anything, let me know. But if I need something, it never happens. And now I'm looking at somebody who may be genuine, but I'm like, I'm going to put you in the same category with them because all these people have told me. So it's okay for you. Like, I tell even, my best friend, I'm not, if you need a babysitter, I'm the last person you call.
Absolutely. I don't like watching kids.
I'm your last resort. I am your like you done called your mama, you done mm-hmm. called the actual nanny service and they ain't got nobody available.
Absolutely.
I am the last resort, especially if my kids are with their dad. If I don't got my kids, I don't have no kids. None. But I had to really be like, I tell people I'm honest. Like, I can only do so much.
Absolutely.
And I think it's okay for people to be honest instead of just telling people what that you think they want to hear in that moment. Because then people are like, oh, I got this person that can help. But then you really didn't mean it. You was just trying to be nice and be comforting in the moment. So it kind of goes both ways. Like setting boundaries on your end, on this side, where it's like, I love you, sis. If you need some support, if you want me to hype you up when you don't want to work out, like I'm here, but I can't do this other stuff, and that's okay as well.
Mm-hmm. And calling them on it will stop them from volunteering stuff that they true. Know they not gonna do.
That is true. Okay.
Call them on it and communicate effectively. You said you were gonna do this, but you're not. Mm-hmm. So let's not offer that again if you're not really willing to
That's
do it.
That's the key. Because I think a lot of times if they tell us they can't do it, we just be like, okay, let me figure it out. Instead of being like, okay, well, you told me that you were able to assist and you can't, and now I'm in this situation, or whatever. Like, I don't think we do that. Mm-hmm. Or I don't.
I am so sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
Sorry. I have a male child. He is 16. And if he calls, my phone will ring. I don't care about do not disturb. They are hurting too many black boys out here.
Listen.
And I need my phone to ring when my 16-year-old male son, black male child, calls me.
I have a 12-year-old and it's the same way. I'm going to say, you need an answer.
No, he doesn't want anything. He does not.
Okay. Well, the moral of the whole story today, I guess, is just setting boundaries. Mm-hmm. Recognizing people that are really, truly, genuinely in your corner and giving a little bit to them at a time and taking some of that off your plate. Like, it's okay, like you said, to be vulnerable and to be open and kind of make more room for bigger blessings. Because, what's that one pastor? He like TikTok viral, y'all. He got like the fade. I'm gonna think of it after the podcast. But he did a skit and he had like all these like basketballs and everything in his hand, and he kept grabbing other stuff, and then he was like, "You holding all this, and God just looking at you like, I want to bless you with something bigger, but you holding on to all this." And I done let he had like some of the people come up and ask, and he's like, "No, it's my stuff." And you're literally blocking your own blessing, your own relationships, opportunities. And even with this whole glow challenge, like I said earlier, it's more than body. It's more than our outward appearance. Like, we have to be mentally there. And the rest follows.
Absolutely.
The rest follows.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Thank y'all for tuning in. This was fun. Like I said, y'all, this was our first little round. So comment below. Let us know how you feel. If you have any situations that you kind of want us to bring up on the next podcast or whatever, we'll be open to those topics.
Right.
Y'all have a good day.